Hi good people, it's Amy from Savor, Salvage, Scent, and I hope this finds you in a great space today. So, you know when you experience a fragrance for the first time and it's so good, you're almost incensed. It almost makes you mad. You can't believe how good it is. You think about it a lot. You're really digging yourself when you wear it. Barely could sleep last night. Really excited to talk to you about this niche house called Motif Olfactif. So first I should say this is continuing a series that is focused on the contributions of Black and brown people, no matter where they fall in the African Diaspora, to perfumery. The reason I'm doing this is because over 30 years of collecting and learning about fragrance, I see a ton of Black and brown people supporting the market, loving perfumery, and contributing their dollars and their respect. However, I do not see a lot of inroads for people to become noses and entrepreneurs. So I want to give credit where credit is due. I have insatiable desire to learn more about perfumery and all cultures that contribute to it. And I want to share with you what I've learned. And secondly, I will say, I hope this is a two-way conversation. So this is a funny format, of course, on YouTube, where I appear to blather on sometimes. But I hope that you'll like these videos, subscribe to the channel, and contribute to the conversation, because I feel like perfumery, one of the things that's amazing about it is like wine or culinary delights or fashion, that you can never learn it all, and there's so much to learn, and it's so interesting, and one conversation contributes to another. So never do I suppose to be an expert on any of this. I'm a lifelong learner, and I hope you'll join me in the conversation and certainly tell me about things you know that I might not, and any questions or ideas you have, I would love to hear. So continuing on, I learned about this company, Motif Olfactif, by the way, amazing name, through Savor, which is one of my favorite content sources, websites to do with fragrance. I find the writers that are involved in that forum are just really interesting, educated, super enriching in what they bring to the conversation. And I find, although I'm sure that they have associations with perfumers, perfume houses, companies, etc., it seems they haven't sold their souls to just one, and I feel like they bring a real relativity and a respect and a unbiasedness, is that a word, to the conversation in the industry. So I learned so much through them, and I encourage you to seek out their website too. It's amazing. So I had read some really great things about this company, and so I decided to order basically an exploration set for fragrances. I think it was around $20, but you can find their website, and I'll link it below. But it's, let me read you a little bit about the background of the creator, and then I'm gonna talk with you about the 4 scents that I've experienced over the last week and the way they're making me feel. Amazing. Okay, so this company was created or is run by a man named Oswald. I believe it's Pare. It's P-A-R-E. It seems like he goes by Mr. Oz, and I noticed he signed the lovely package he sent, Oz, for Oswald. So I read a quote by him that I wanted to share with you that I think just really is beautiful, shows how wonderful the fragrance experience can be, and his company, I think specifically. It says, "It's my goal that my fragrances resonate with people, and by doing so, bring joy." That's a big mission statement, but I think it's really beautiful. And certainly just in the last week that I've been wearing these fragrances, I'm like, these are beyond description and make me feel a kind of way. So I think what he said here is really real. Mr. Oz grew up in Burkina Faso, so in Western Africa. And in his words, it sounds like he was just always creative, from sewing clothes to taking apart computers and things that other people perceived as trash, which I was like, wow, that is a similar interest of mine too, and inspires the name of this channel, Savor, Salvage, Scent. So you can tell through his work and his words that he finds beauty in the details. So this is, I believe, a relatively new company. Shoot, I forgot to look at the founding date. I think it's been around for a few years. I noticed that he's contributed content to like perfume forums for quite some time. And it looks like he grew up in West Africa, however, lives in America, is American now. So that's some background. So I would just suggest that you look up his site. Again, I'll link some information below, but mostly I'm going to concentrate today on these incredible 4 scents. I just can't even get over it. Okay, so 4 scents I received in this lovely package, and it says, "Hello, Amy. Thank you for your order. I hope you have fun trying these." And I certainly have, and I cannot wait to buy some full bottles. All right, so first I'm going to tell you about a scent called Mon Oasis. Oh, my word. Okay, so I've made some notes so I would remember, but I'm going to spray these and give you first impressions. I did wear them over the course of a week off and on too, so I can tell you a little bit about the dry down and that kind of thing. I wrote down for Mon Oasis, nothing but flowers. That's not exactly true. There's got a few other elements, but to me what stands out in a magical, unique, beautiful way are his interpretations of certain florals. So let me read to you the notes, and then I'm going to tell you what I experienced most in those notes. So the notes are, and these are not listed as top, mid, and heart notes, so I'm just going to list them for you. I'm not exactly sure. I can make some guesses according to what I know about perfumery, but I'm just going to read you these lists and tell you what the ingredients are. So yuzu, pear, lavender, vetiver, oak moss, hay, tobacco, sandalwood, jasmine, musk, and cedar. My God. All right, let me spray this and tell you what is most dominant for me. Okay, so first of all, just say this is a fragrance that makes you go, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Whew. All right, so it's interesting because when I read about this, it seems like he describes or talks a lot about the lavender in this scent. And what's interesting is that comes out a little bit for me once it dries down a bit. But what really comes out for me, and maybe it's because I'm crazy about jasmine, there's a lot of good and bad jasmines in the world as far as interpretations. Some of my most favorite scents in the world are jasmine based. Jasmine Noir by Bulgari is one of my top 10. Have a stash of backup bottles because, my God, it's been discontinued. Anyways, this interpretation of jasmine is like so freaking good. And it's gorgeous, it's heady, but it's really chic too. And it's got like this, still got this artsy quality because it's not just jasmine. So to me, what really comes out is the yuzu and pear, like this a little bit sharp, a little bit soft, both fruits. Definitely a little bit of vetiver and lavender. A little bit of the hay comes out, especially as it dries down. But mostly I get like the tobacco and the jasmine, namely the jasmine. Oh my God. If you love jasmine, not now, but right now, buy a bottle. I'm about to myself. It is ridiculous. It is lush. It is, it lasts, I would say, about 3 to 4 hours intensely. You still get a bit in the dry down. And part of this is, I will just say, it's rare that a fragrance lasts 8 or 12 hours for me. My skin kind of eats fragrance, but this is solid for about 3 or 4 hours, and then it gets real soft. But if you're into jasmine, this is a must-have. It's incredible. I cannot believe how good it is. Of all the perfumes that I've smelled, if I own 200 perfumes and I've smelled thousands, this is a new favorite. It's incredible. Okay, so that is MonoASIS. All right, next I'm going to talk to you about one that was super, super interesting to me, but one that this girl will not be wearing, which is Vetu de Vert. So my understanding, a little bit of French I know, is that means basically like wrapped in or dressed in green. And I think it's also a play on vetiver. So this scent is, from my reading, it sounds like it's interpretation of like 3 different vetivers or notes of 3 different vetivers, among other things. I'm going to read to you the ingredients or notes, and then I'm going to talk to you about what happens when this amazing thing is on my skin. So the ingredients are vetiver, yuzu, bergamot, cypress, cedar, oak moss, jasmine, geranium, ylang ylang, patchouli, and sandalwood. Let me spray this and tell you about it. Okay, so I'm gonna spray this one on paper. Then I'm gonna get to why. So, wowzers. Hooey. All right. This is super cool. I mean, like, I have to be honest, I do not have a scent that smells like this either. I will say, vetiver isn't for everybody. I love it. So, a couple of my favorite fragrances are the old Guerlain vetivers. I love Chanel's Sycamore. Yeah, so those are 2 favorites. I know that, you know, I think that people should wear fragrances no matter their gender. You wear what you like. And by the way, I've noticed that Motif Olfactif scents are, I think, almost always marketed as unisex, which I really appreciate. I will say, though, it seems like vetivers are more often used in scents that are oriented to men or marketed to men. And I definitely get a blast of, like, this feels to me like a more masculine scent. It is super green. It is a really interesting interpretation of vetivers, and you can tell that he's incorporating more than one vetiver, because it's not just the stemmy it's like smoky vetiver, it's woody, it's green, it is everything. However, and this is not a criticism, but I'm gonna be real with you. On my skin, this smells like the skunkiest marijuana you've ever smelled, and for me, it's billowing out of the car. That's how strong it is. It's like you open the car door, whew, and there's a cloud around you. And it's interesting because when I read reviews or his intentions in this or the scent, one of his goals, it sounds like, was to create a vetiver that could straddle both like warm weather months and cold weather months. And I think for the right person that this can do that. And I think, again, this is not a criticism of the scent. I think it's an incredible scent. It's really green. It's really interesting. I don't have something that smells just like it as far as a fragrance. But for me, when it is on my skin, for like, this one lasted literally all day, like 8-9 hours on my skin. And for the first 4 or 5, there were moments where I was like I literally thought people were smoking weed around me. I was like, oh, it's me, right. And I cannot wear this in a professional setting because people will think I have just blazed before work. Okay, so really real. Really cool vetiver fragrance. I think he incorporates a lot of things, but what come out for me are a really skunky vetiver, maybe a little bit of bergamot, and maybe a little patchouli that gives it like, also can do a skunky thing, and geranium. So really interesting. Again, I would love to hear from other people on this, because I bet on other people's skin it's probably amazing. And it is an amazing fragrance, but on me, I risk being fired wearing it. Okay, so moving on to the last 2 that, again, 3 out of 4 of these, the other 2 I would absolutely buy, and I'm in fast and furious love with. Okay, So next, let me see, we've talked about these two. Okay, so next on the list is Nectar Boise. So nectar of the woods or the forest. Let me spray this on my person. This is another one where I was like, come on, this is so amazing. All right. Wow. Oh my gosh. You know, it's amazing to me, and I hope to get to know this creator a bit better to maybe even learn about the why of this. But I've said before that the most wonderful, to me, perfume houses often have a DNA running through what they do. Sometimes it's as scientific or as direct as we literally put a DNA of 10% of, let's say if it's a Guerlain, there's Guerlainade and there's like a 10% ratio of that in every scent they make. And so there's this chemical DNA running through their scents. It also could just be that certain creators or artists like certain things and therefore their scents start to take on a certain feel. Anyway, so it's interesting because I swear to God, I can tell that the two that I love so far are created by the same person. Don't ask me why, but I'm like, yeah, they kind of relate, but yet they're totally different too. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what is the makeup of Nectar Boise. Okay, so we have fruits, unnamed fruits, and I want to talk to you about which fruits I think they might be. Cardamom, galbanum, vetiver, sandalwood, cedar, labdanum, vanilla, tolu balsam. My God, these are so many of my favorite things. Patchouli, and that's it. Yes, so for me, this is okay, so it's funny, I've been talking a lot about peach lately, unintentionally, probably because it's summer. Peach is in a fair amount of fragrances, but here's what's wild. Peach, for me, in the perfume community, I find to be very polarizing. People love or hate it. I love it a lot of the time, although some people can do peach really badly. I'm not kidding. I've only known this scent for a week, and I'm telling you, this is one of the coolest peaches I've ever experienced. For me, that's what comes out. God, it'd be interesting to hear from him and hear if, in fact, peach is one of the fruits. But for me, I get a combination of ripe peach. You know how when a peach starts to get so ripe, and I love fruit when it's this stage. I actually just ate a peach like this today. When it's so ripe, it starts to even turn floral almost. It's almost right before it goes off. And this scent to me is like ripe fruit that is so ripe, it might even incorporate the pit. And in this case, the pit for me is, the inside is something woody, incensey. So I get a combination of peach, which somehow is this ripe, but not off-putting. It's gorgeous. I get peach, incense, I get a little bit of sandalwood. I basically get like a resinous, incensey fruit. Oh my God. And I think because it's fruit-based, it would do beautifully in the summer and has been doing beautifully on my skin over this week. It's gorgeous. But I also think like he's straddled this multi-season thing again in a great and brilliant way because of the incense and the balsams, the resins. I think it's strong enough that it also could be worn beautifully in cold months. So I cannot wait to try it then. So again, that is my experience with Nectar Boise. Last but not least is Voile d'Incense. So I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. My French is not fantastic. So basically that means like, voile, I believe, is like a really light, almost transparent fabric. And so what I take from this name is like a light or a covering of a light incense. So let me spray this last one and tell you a little bit about, again, what I experienced. All right, elbow time. And yes, I'm woman enough to wear these three scents at once. not on an everyday basis, but oh my gosh. Okay, so, oh God. I think part of the reason also I just love this house is I can just tell I like similar things to what he uses and likes. I love incense so much. Oh my gosh. And this is so good. So if the vetiver fragrance of his was a little too sharp and skunky on my skin, this thing, let me read to you the ingredients, and I'm going to tell you that there's a greenness. It's not, I don't think, well, no, it is maybe vetiver in this case. Maybe not as strongly as the first one, but there's a greenness and forestiness that is just beautiful on my skin in this, and combined with incense. And somehow, like he describes, light enough that you could wear this during the summer and all months, which I think is a freaking miracle. So the notes are olibanum, elemi resin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not familiar with that type of resin. Rhubarb, pear, rose, oak, cedar, vetiver, and tonka. Again, some of my favorite things. Like, I love vetiver. I love resins. I love rhubarb. Love pear. Love tonka. This creates such a beautiful composition and well-roundedness. And to me, especially once this dries down a little bit, I get like incense. I get like a hay experience. Almost like, to me, it smells a little like chamomile, even though this is not a note. And then a little bit of fruit. And so it just creates this beautiful, light incense experience. Again, with a tiny bit of fruit. Totally gorgeous. Like, my understanding is his full bottles range from anywhere between, I think, about $80 and $130 or $40. So I think right along a normal price point for actually a really fair price point for a niche handmade perfume. So I plan on getting a few of these bottles, and I'm so excited to wear them, to share them with people and talk about them. So I would love to know more from you guys about, have you heard about this company or this creator, and have you worn the scents? What are your favorite vetiver and incense fragrances? What are your feelings about peach? People seem to love it or hate it. I would love to hear from you about the why. And I would also love to hear from you on if there are any houses that I haven't explored yet by Black and Brown perfumers that you're crazy about. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you dig this house as much as I do, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.